Welcome everyone. My name is Bernard Siegel. I'm the Executive Director of the Regenerative Medicine Foundation, the producer of the World Stem Cell Summit. I'm also the founder of the event and one of the co-chairs. Thank you for coming. This is our first full day session for attendees, registered attendees. Many of you joined us last night at our opening keynotes and introduction of some of our co-organizers yesterday evening that included the Center for Advancement of Science and Space, Mayo Clinic, the Diabetes Research Institute Foundation, the Cure Alliance, Nova Southeastern University Cell Therapy Institute. We are blessed to have dealt in this is our 12th summit, blessed to have worked with more than 45 very prominent institutions, 45 to 50 over the 12 years to assist us in co-organizing this event. I'm tremendously thrilled that you are here, and if you attended yesterday, we had a public day, which was absolutely extraordinary. We don't have the full count. I think it was about 700 to 800 attendees throughout the public day. And as you walked in this morning, you would have seen the artwork that was prepared by our after-school classes, some of the best artwork from elementary age school children, third and fourth graders, that were inspired by the elusive images of cells. And now they're all going to be little cell biologists and stem cell scientists. This is part of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, and math meets arts. And it's something that's a great wonder to behold. So our organization was very happy to see us have that. And those of you that interacted with some of the school children that were here yesterday, it was a terrific experience. Yesterday's public day offered an opportunity for our members of the public and our attendees, the many attendees that went to the sessions, not only to hear about lofty topics like the frozen zoo and cloning the northern rhino and saving it from extinction, and some of the things that have to do with beyond aging and esoteric and not so esoteric lofty subjects, as well as what is in the here and now. We're very appreciative of the clinicians and experts that not only talked about what is allowed and what is in the clinic here and now, but also what consumers need to be aware of before they would even think about undergoing a cell therapy, and what questions there are to ask. We appreciated the support and having the great booklets provided by the International Society for Stem Cell Research, which is looking out for consumers as well. We're going to start off first. Let me tell you, all things that are happening in this room, in the grand ballroom, are going to be live streamed. We are very excited about that, and we'll have a great audience. After we have some additional introductory remarks and welcome remarks from some of our other co-organizing institutions, I'm going to talk about the big picture. The big picture is not only what is going on in the world of regenerative medicine and stem cells today, all things considered, at least my point of view from organizing the summit, but also what is actually happening at the summit, and is the and nonprofit institutions to assist us in developing the program, to add validation to the meeting, and most importantly, as an organizer and coming at it from a patient advocacy perspective personally, I wanted to make sure that what was presented from the podium was the best science, the best that industry could have to offer, the best and talks about ethics, law, society, and regulation. So we've strived to produce a meeting that is a networking meeting that's available to all comers, including the patient community, and we have robust attendance from the patient community over the next 3 days. Yesterday, we heard from the Center for Advancement in Science and Space, Nova Southeastern Cell Therapy Institute, the Mayo Clinic, and Diabetes Research Institute Foundation. Other organizers that are here this morning include Kyoto University and their Institute for Integrated Cell Material Science. And we have partnered with that institute in Kyoto University. I think it's going on 4 or 5 years to not only Kyoto University has supported the meeting, they have helped organize a Japanese symposium which will occur tomorrow, where we hear from industry perspectives and science. We have a really large attendance from Japan this year. I think we have at least 35 delegates. And we're very proud that Japan has become part of the World Stem Cell Summit community. We need to collaborate with Japan. We need to learn from Japan. At the same time, I found in my recent trip to Japan, where I had an opportunity to go to visit the facilities at Kyoto University, meet with the industry group firm, went over to Takeda Pharmaceutical and Fujifilm to understand the scope of the work there. It's breathtaking. And at the same time, I found our Japanese collaborators eager to learn about what is going on in the United States and the rest of the world. And that's the key, and that's one of the themes of the summit. I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Norio Nakatsushi, who is the former director of the ICEMS Institute and now leads the Nakatsushi Foresight Foundation that is dedicated to student education and helping students. Dr. Nakatsushi is truly a hero of the field, an iconic stem cell researcher, and he's going to say a few words on behalf of ICEMS.
Thank you very much, Barney, for a very kind introduction. I'd like to give a few minutes of some words. So I'd like to send you the heartfelt welcome to this unique multi-sector Congress of Stem Cells and Regenerative Medicine. It's very unique because many Congress or society has their own dominating majority sector, like academia, scientists, or industry. So, but too much dominating majority is not so good idea for the society or country. Okay, so we should collaborate many sectors. So for the stem cell and regenerative medicine field is very widespread with social impact and has multiple aspects to consider. So for that, we need collaboration of all the sectors involved. And this institute is, this Congress is very famous for that kind of multi-sector activity led by Barney. Okay, so this 10 years, I'm a scientist, stem cell biologist, and watched the great progress of the research and technology. And now many clinical trials are starting. So that's the one phase. But the next phase is we must go forward to bring the reliable and sustainable therapy to many patients from now. So for that, research and technology is not enough to accomplish such a social or medical practice. So, for example, for technology probably we need not only the stem cell biology, but something synergy with gene therapy and biomaterials and medical devices. So also, we need industry type advancement of the large scale production or cell production and quality control of cell product. And don't forget the cost reduction. So with too much high cost, the therapy cannot go to the affordable level for many patients. And so this kind of treatment needs sustainability. So for that, we need adequate reimbursement system and not too strict, but reasonable regulation. So, and finally, all the basis, we need proper understanding of the great potential of this new medical therapy, as well as its limitation and remaining risks by patients and general public. So we must work from the multi-aspect. And for that, this Congress, World Stem Cell Summit and Capital Congress is, I believe, I'm confident that contribute greatly to the whole aspect of this very exciting time of the stem cell and regenerative medicine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Norio. I'm going to introduce next our esteemed representative from Wake Forest Institute of Regenerative Medicine, Dr. Julie Alexson, who runs translation there, and almost everything else that I can see is second to myself, the busiest person on the planet. Julie is a wonderful spokesperson for the field of regenerative medicine, and she is one of the go-to experts in the field, and she is going to be chairing our next very important session related to the FDA and all things considered. Julie.
Thank you, Bernie. We're honored, Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine, for being a part of this conference. I think it's a really special conference as we see it incorporates full circle regenerative medicine, starting out with the scientists, the clinicians, you have the investors, big pharma, so everybody's here. And I guess I would say if you're new to the field, the networking is key. I know that Bernie mentioned this last night, but you have so much knowledge here at this conference, 1,200 participants, and so it's a great time to be able to socialize and learn from other people. We know that nobody can work in a silo. We all have to work together to move the field forward. There are a lot of challenges in the field, and so it's a time to bond together and try and move everything forward for the economy, healthcare economy, as well as the quality of life. So we are honored to be here. We have a big group from Wake Forest, so you'll hear from us throughout the meeting. We have presentations on scaffold evolution, bioprinting, organ shortage. So we're in a lot of different areas. The Institute covers pretty much all the different subsections of regenerative medicine, looking at producing tissue engineering organs and tissues, cell therapies, biomaterials. We work with small molecules and devices. So we pretty much cover everything and have 100+ collaborators. So love to work with everybody. We have a lot of visitors and definitely enjoy making sure that we can help to move the field forward. So really appreciate being here and like to thank the organizers, Bernie and Alan, for including us in the meeting. So enjoy the meeting. Thank you.
We were very proud to welcome a new co-organizing institution this year, the Center for Commercialization for Regenerative Medicine. It's based in Canada, but really is a global organization. Many of you know Dr. Michael May and his wonderful team. What impresses us about CCRM is it's the combination of not only the government of Canada funding research, but the hands-on assistance to entrepreneurs and scientists in the lab to bring their science into commercial products. It is a model that is being considered around the world, and I have found that they are spreading goodness and knowledge around the world by talking and speaking and educating other leaders in countries that Canada has a solution in moving this field forward, and there's much to learn from CCRM. So giving some welcoming remarks today is our friend Stacy Johnson, Director of Communications and Marketing of CCRM.
I like that spreading goodness around the world. I may have to use that. As Bernie said, my name is Stacy Johnson. I'm with CCRM. The long name is Center for Commercialization of Regenerative Medicine, but we actually rebranded this year, so we just go by CCRM, which is much easier to say and remember. I'm sorry that Michael May can't be here today. I wasn't planning on being on stage this morning, so this is a bit of a surprise for me. My breakfast is still sitting over there. I was just going to come in and listen to all the speakers this morning, but it is a pleasure to have this opportunity to say hello from Canada and from CCRM. I can let you know that I have two colleagues here at the conference, Patrick Bedford and Gary Pigeot, who will both be speaking today. So if you want to go listen to their talks, I can assure you that they will be interesting and informative and let you know a little bit more about CCRM and what we do. I will just briefly say that we are a center of excellence. As Bernie mentioned, we are funded by the Government of Canada. We strive to bring regenerative medicine technologies and cell and gene therapies to the marketplace. So we have facilities at CCRM to develop technologies, and we also have staff in place to commercialize them. We have a lot of expertise. We started in 2011 with half a dozen staff, and now we have grown to over 60. And we're still growing. Last year, in January, you may have heard the news that we were given $40 million from GE Healthcare and the Government of Canada to create an advanced manufacturing cell facility. So we are in the process of doing that. We hired a lot of people last year. We've been purchasing state-of-the-art equipment to make sure that we have the best facility in North America. And we are open for business. We've already started doing projects, and you'll be able to hear more about that, certainly from Gary Pigeot, who is on that team and can answer questions about it. But we also have a booth here at this year's conference, so if you'd like to come visit us at booth 518, I can answer more questions about CCRM and give you materials, and I also have candy. So if you need a little sugar hit, come see me, 518. And I will just close by saying it's a pleasure to be here this year. This is my first time at the conference, but CCRM has come every year since we've been around, and I'm looking forward to hearing from all the speakers, and thank you to Bernie and Alan for inviting us and allowing us to participate this year. Thanks.
Last night, Camillo Ricordi, one of our honorees, of course, with the Stem Cell Action Award tonight as our advocate of the year, gave some remarks and welcome remarks for the Diabetes Research Institute Foundation, and he made a reference to, and I made a reference to the Cure Alliance. The Cure Alliance represents an amazing effort on the part of Camillo, who founded it, to advance cell therapies around the world. he has brought in an enormous number of researchers, clinicians, and individuals to take up the cause for regenerative medicine, underscoring the importance of this field to deliver cures. So in the journey, I have had this year the opportunity to meet Shelly Ross. Shelly is truly an inspiring individual, and she is a cancer survivor, as I am, and has a remarkable narrative. She spoke at the event at the Bipartisan Policy Center in April, a meeting that we co-organized with the Bipartisan Policy Center, and eloquently told her story. She is the executive director of the Cure Alliance, and we were especially honored this year when they came on board as a co-organizer of this year's World Stem Cell Summit. I just want to mention that Shelly has had a remarkable career. She was the producer of Good Morning America. Among many of her accomplishments, as I like to say, a media mogul. She's one tough person. Anyway, Shelly, I also know she has a soft heart. Let me welcome her to the stage.
This is my first stem cell conference, and I just want to tell you all, I am your poster girl. I would not be able to do this or this. I've had treatments, stem cell treatments from adipose fat in my both shoulders that had been destroyed by chemotherapy treatments. I had breast reconstruction that went awry with FDA-approved expanders that my body rejected, and I was told there was nothing that could be done. And at the time, I went to Milan at the recommendation of my friend Camillo Ricordi, and I was reconstructed with my own fat transfer. So I am your girl. I am your poster child. The Cure Alliance is dedicated to breaking down the barriers between the laboratory and the bedside. We hear that a lot, but as I became involved, I consider myself very lucky because this is the year of patient engagement. When the FDA had their draft guidance hearings on fat transfer, I was actually given more time to speak than Arnold Kaplan, which shows that either something is awry or it's time for patients to speak up and somebody to listen to us. This is also a great year. The whole world is disrupted. Our political system is disrupted. We will be looking closely for the cabinet selections and all the political selections that will oversee the FDA and Health and Human Services. There's a lot of work to be done. It's also a time to celebrate it may have happened when I was traveling, the passage of the 21st Century Cures Bill, which I want to credit Bernie Siegel and the bipartisan committee and a lot of people who worked really hard on that. That is an amazing bill that will unshackle so many of you in your research labs. I'm not saying funding is going to flow like a tsunami, but things will be different and better, and I think that we will accelerate cures. That's the goal. It's my job at the Cure Alliance not to be Pollyanna and to go over that bill and say, this is a great beginning. The fact that anything was passed during this last congressional year, and that anything that was passed during a lame duck Congress is a near miracle. There are a couple elements that we still have to tackle. There's not enough money, there never is, but we'll take that as a start. They didn't address patent blocking, which we will talk about in our panel. The right to try laws, which most of us know it's legislation without a cause or a cause without a result. The right to try laws have now been passed, as of June, were passed in 31 states. That gives patients like me a right to access to any drug that has passed the safety phase of a clinical trial. What nobody realized was the right to try law gave me access and gave all of us access, but on the other side, it didn't give pharmaceutical companies or academics the need to commit to provide those drugs. So I don't know what happened when the states passed 31 laws that said, I can have access, and the other side said, no, you can't. To date, not one patient in 31 states has been given access to a drug that is that may help them. And this access is only for patients who are dying, who have no other recourse. It's their Hail Mary, and there has to be some way to reach the pharmaceutical companies to say, we're not going to mess up your studies. We're in a box over here. You may even learn something from us. So there's still a lot of work to be done, and a lot of work to be done in regenerative medicine. I hope to help link all the pieces, and I look forward to meeting many of you and hearing about what your barriers are. We learn about new barriers to cures and that space that researchers call Death Valley between your success in the lab and how do you get that out there. So again, I'm Shelly Ross. I look forward, we have our own booth, and I look forward to speaking with many of you this week.
Invite our guests to step down. Well, I know many of you are alumni of past World Stem Cell Summits. Before I talk about our view and my own personal view about what the big picture is and what the challenges we face as a field and where we might be going, I want to talk to you a little bit about the World Stem Cell Summit. At times, it's a very lofty meeting. It is a networking meeting, and some of you might even think it's an improv meeting. It has its elements to it. It is something that has evolved over the years to represent the entire ecosystem of stem cells and regenerative medicine. So what that means to some of you who are used to going to meetings specific to your field, let's say cell manufacturing, or you're going to the ISSCR or some other scientific conference, and you're listening to scientific lectures, and we have some wonderful science that's going to be presented here. But if that's all you do, you're not getting out of your silo. And this is a silo-busting meeting. And what we try to do for all the attendees to understand that there is a big, wide world related to this field that's changing everyone's life right now with the convergence of technologies. And if you are a scientist wanting a grant, thinking about an idea of commercializing your research, there are investors at this meeting. There are even a pitch presentation symposium on Friday. There are opportunities to learn about what other people are doing, and that's the joy of the meeting. A researcher that might only deal with cells looking through a microscope, let's say for a neurological disorder, who might meet a patient or a family with Huntington's disease or ALS that's attending the meeting hoping to learn more. So our scientific presentations, we ask our presenters to set the context, discuss the clinical implications before getting into those fine details. And we try to have dialogue in each session, Q&A, an opportunity for some cross-discussion. To really enjoy the meeting, you know, we've gone paperless like most meetings, and that provides some challenges to those who aren't as so tech savvy. So make sure you download the app for the meeting, because there you'll find the schedule, you'll see everyone that's registered for the partnering forum, you can make contacts with the other attendees. This is a really valuable tool for you, and it's much easier than walking around in each meeting hall looking and trying to imagine what's going on. We might have some copies of the grid for you, for those of us that might have AOL accounts. It's okay, we understand, but the app is the way to go, and I think you'll enjoy the meeting experience tremendously if you have this. To give you an idea of what this meeting is about today, even, and how nimble you might want to be, we are going to have our first break. Well, after my short talk, we are going to present, I think, what's one of the most important, consequential, and timely sessions imaginable. We're very honored to have Dr. Celia Witten from FDA present. She's going to provide us with FDA perspectives on the regulatory issues with regenerative medicine. With the imminent passage by the Senate of the Cures Act and the elevation of regenerative medicine recognized in the Cures Act with now an accelerated pathway for certain stem cell products or cell products, cell therapies, or as they call it, regenerative advanced therapies. This is a highly significant day, and because we expect President Obama to sign this bill. So what does it mean? We have one of the leading FDA experts, former FDA official Mark Scheinison, that's speaking in the morning session to discuss some of the implications of the bill. We also have Martin McGlynn, who has retired from 16 years at the helm of Stem Cells, Inc., who has watched the efforts to industrialize and create commercial products out of cells and has a lofty orbital view of this field. So I think that it'll be a learning experience not only for those of us from the USA, but from around the world to understand how the United States might fit in and the challenges that we have here. And of course, the great consumer society we have in the United States impacts the world, and with the power and reputation of the FDA, we're eager to listen to what Dr. Witten has to say. At 10 o'clock, we're going to have our first break, and I want you to know that all of your F&B, your food and beverages, are down on the first floor in the exhibit hall. There you will find your charging station. You'll find some of the great exhibitors we have. I think we have about 60 this year. It is a trade show floor unlike any other, because there you will find everything from Hadassah to Anacell and products for equine therapies to some of the great companies and institutions that you're familiar with products and devices and to sell. Interact with these sponsors and exhibitors, because you can learn a tremendous amount, as well as getting a magnet for your refrigerator and a pen. So I encourage you all to enjoy that. We have every year at our first lunch break an expert lunch with experts. We call it Conversations with Experts. And this year, we have about 20 tables. Now, what happens is, in this huge meeting with about 250 speakers, yours truly ends up the final arbiter of who gets to speak at a lunch table. And undoubtedly, I make mistakes. But what I have found is that you just go down and sit at any table, and you will find an expert at each table. Some of them are labeled with some, for example, Francis Saldana, who is here representing the Huntington's disease community. Dr. Franklin Rest, who is talking about stem cells and stem cell treatment for stroke. He's doing research at the University of Georgia, and others. If one of you are a designated expert, and for some reason you don't have a label for yourself at a table, sit down anyway. You know you're an expert, and you will convince everyone that you are when they sit next to you. And heaven forbid if you see an expert sitting at a table and no one is there, well, I really feel bad for those. There's always usually one dud table, and I sit there. But please consider joining, even if it's outside of your field, because you're gonna learn an awful lot. The meeting is divided into 8 tracks this year. And believe me, as challenging as it will be for you to navigate this meeting, and the biggest complaint we have every year, how could I possibly decide what I wanted to do? Because there's so many things. And I say, tough, you should have brought more people to the meeting, and then you would have done better. But anyway, it's a cornucopia, and we have a discovery track, which is basic science and exciting innovation. That will be at the Grand Ballroom in this room and live streamed throughout the event. We also have a clinical trials, translation and clinical trials track. The RegMed Capital Conference, this is our 3rd year of doing this. There are investors in the house from angel networks, family offices, investment banks, venture capital firms, and they are there to listen to some of the great companies that are going to be presenting to the investors. And then it's not enough just to make a presentation. We have cross-discussion. If you're interested just in the whole area of commercialization of this field, it's a fascinating opportunity to learn more. And all sessions are open to all attendees. And as well as having company presentations, there are also tutorials and other sessions to learn more about commercialization for work in our field. We have this year a track, Regenerative Medicine in the Clinic. This was inspired at the recommendation of the Mayo Clinic several years ago and has evolved. And this year there is CME credit available for those lectures. What is allowed in the here and now? Not only do we present what is allowed and what is going on by reputable clinicians, but we will also learn about consumer safety. What does it mean that there is a proliferation of 500 clinics in the United States? What are the implications? What do consumers need to know? What do clinicians need to know in order to comply with FDA regulations? We don't like to see clinicians attempting to work out of their specialty. You're going to lose your license, you might get sued. So if any of these clinicians are here, this is your opportunity to learn and also be aware that we have the afflicted community, patient community here, and this is not the time to solicit a new patient to come to your clinic. This is a time to learn and share information, of course, with the community, and we welcome you and are so grateful to be working with you. We have, I think, one of the most important tracks is ethics, law, regulation, and society. This year, we're really happy because we are going to be having sessions analyzing the Cures Act, analyzing the legalities of the right to try law. I think some of these sessions are on Friday, so any of you that were planning to leave early, it's worth the $150 cancellation fee, extend your trip, enjoy the sunshine, it's an extra day, and make sure you stay as long as you can, because the insights you will get here are fresh, new, and interdisciplinary. things that you will not learn anywhere else. And unfortunately, we can't record the whole meeting, so you really have to decide and pick carefully what you do. The ethics are really, really important in this. Generally, we have something called a hot topics track. The topics are interesting and sometimes esoteric and sometimes spot on relevant. So we're going to keep you really nimble with that. And this year, for the first time, you can go downstairs and go to the Equine World Stem Cell Summit. Well, what were we thinking to put in this track this year? And we welcome the equine community. I'm a resident of Palm Beach County, and I understand the importance of the equine industry, not only in the United States and the world. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And believe me, I paid attention when the Malone family gave $42 million to Colorado State University to create an equine regenerative medicine center and human regenerative medicine center. This is an important community, and this is at the heart of this global community. And we wanted to present an opportunity, and it's relevant, of course. Large animal research is critical to human research. These sessions are really good, and we partnered with the North American Veterinary Regenerative Medicine Association. So those panels are more than just for our horse community. They're for all of you, and all of you who are here from that community. I encourage you to come in. And the reason we do this is this meeting has grown to the ecosystem meeting, constantly reaching out to more stakeholders and bringing them together to bust the silos. So remember to download the app. The dinner is tonight. It's going to be fantastic. For those of you who haven't signed up for the optional awards dinner, please come. You heard from Sandy Barker, our patient advocate, last night. It was hard to have a dry eye in the house. What a story. And she's getting an award, as well as Camillo for his advocacy and founding the Cure Alliance and his work as a diabetes researcher and other great things that he's done. And also two major philanthropists that have made a difference. Bernie Marcus, the co-founder of Home Depot, who's also speaking on a panel at 4 to 5. Don't miss Bernie Marcus. He's a tremendous speaker and on strategic philanthropy. And of course, Don Sofer, who gave a magnificent $25 million gift to the Stem Cell Institute at the University of Miami. And if you live down here, you know the Sofer family of Turnberry and Aventura and the Fontainebleau Hotel, et cetera, et cetera. These are the type of people that understand, as patients themselves, that this is the future of medicine, and they need to be in the room and to be celebrated. What is the big picture? What can I say? This has been a year of advocacy. This is a year now that represents change. There's a different political climate in the United States. None of us have a crystal ball. If you are an advocate for embryonic stem cell research, you're looking on cautiously. Will there be funding and ongoing for this from the National Institutes of Health? We really can't say. We really can't say, because the fragility of moving this funding forward by executive order now really might have not been the best way to go, right, if you're a proponent for this research. Related to accelerating pathways through the United States regulatory system, well, we are here and now. This is real time. The Cures Act is passing. One of the great new leaders of advocacy is a gentleman that you'll meet on several sessions, Doug Oliver, who made his rounds on Capitol Hill, winning friends and influencing people. And he is a major advocate, and he is at this meeting today, and certainly was one of the inspirations for the regenerative medicine provisions passing. This has been a year where there have been divides in our community related to the Regrow Act, to the aspects of the Cures Act, with organizations that are important, such as the International Society for Stem Cell Research, the Alliance for Regenerative Medicine, that have come to support the new bill. But there are issues and bridges to build, even within our own community, moving forward, because what this year has revealed is fault lines between different communities that are here today that we respect. We respect them all. It's not about what type of cell, but working with all cells as a symphony, right, to cure disease. We're all here for the same purpose. Our organization is here to accelerate regenerative medicine, to improve health and deliver cures. And delivering cures and healing is universal in all societies, in all societies. And this is a meeting of diversity and meeting leaders from around the world. So you're going to have a busy day, and the exhibit hall, remember, the motto of my organization when it just started was never pass up a free meal. I recommend it even if you're not a nonprofit organization. So on the exhibit hall, I think it's about 5 to 6:30. We have our poster presentations with presenters present, and we have a nice open bar downstairs and some goodies to eat for all of you to go down to the exhibit floor, and you can enjoy that. And those of you that are attending the Stem Cell Action Awards dinner that has been gratefully sponsored by both Sarge Life Sciences, you are going to enjoy a pre-dinner reception and also a wonderful dinner, and music by Adam Lasher, who you might have heard last night, who I found out is actually Carlos Santana's nephew. Isn't that cool? Well, at least I thought it was cool. So I welcome all of you to the World Stem Cell Summit. Anything you need, ask us. The Synaxis team that has worked with me for 11 of the 12 years is eager and here to serve you. I certainly want to recognize my colleagues at the Regenerative Medicine Foundation, especially I should call him my co-president, but he's our associate director, Alan Fernandez, who many of you know. And without Alan and his driving passion, we would not have been able to build this meeting and the organization. And two other things. I'm going to hold up the World Stem Cell Report. The World Stem Cell Report has been in existence, I think, since 2008. I'm very proud to be the co-editor-in-chief of this. It is available to you for free. Our partners now, since the merger between Genetics Policy Institute and the Regenerative Medicine Foundation, we have inherited a wonderful relationship. And our official journal partner is AlphaMed Press and Stem Cells Translational Medicine, the high-impact journal that is edited by Dr. Tony Atala of the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine. Indeed, there is an alpha panel that you won't want to miss later today, where some of the editors and co-editors of this journal and Stem Cells Translational Medicine. This supplement contains the best of the best from Stem Cells Translational Medicine, and will give you a 360-degree view of what is going in the field. I want to thank Ann Murphy of AlphaMed Press and Sharon Lee for their hard work in providing this to you. Finally, you will see a lot of media here. This is a window to the world for regenerative medicine. AMP2 Productions is here. If you have a desire and a story to tell to be interviewed, you might have your opportunity. They're going to be here 4 hours every day. It's syndicated around the world, television and radio, even live radio. It's just some of the interest that's here in the meeting. So that's my big picture for this morning, and I want to thank you for your attention as I call up the next panel.